Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I started my career in City Corp in Hyderabad, right? So you have a high salary and they put us in nice hotels, and that was like a different kind of an experience. So there, luckily, I met one of my best friends as well, even as of today. His name is Santosh. He's from AUEC. So he joined
Okay.
from AUEC. So we were all together in one room, because Hyderabad, one of the biggest challenges is getting apartment for bachelors at that point of time, because
Oh,
it
okay.
was so
At
difficult
that
for.
time, right? Yeah.
So, and there used to one apartment building where all of them were bachelors. There only we got. So I think there I started enjoying, right? You got a credit card, you got a good salary. So in first month
So
I
that's your
spent a good amount of money buying gifts for my mom, dad, and
with
what I
first
did
salary.
with first salary, right? But what I did was, you have fun, right? You got plastic money, so you spend money with your plastic. But I think I spent around 18,000 or 20,000. So
Hmm.
why I'm saying this, I paid back 18,000, but in the next month statement, I got interest charge of for 20,000 rupees. So then when I called up bank,
Hmm.
they said that no, it's a misconception. We usually charge money for the entire amount. That's where I realized that this credit card thing is a big
Is not
money
good.
making opportunity for banks. So I think from that
Hmm.
time onwards, it is until now, it is very rare that I carry forward my credit card balances. So that's the first personal finance lesson I learned in my
Lesson,
life.
yeah. So at a very early age, by 21, you were on your own and earning money, right? It was too young too.
Too
Like
young.
you have to be on your own and you need to make sure
You know,
you're earning and then you need to keep up with everything. Yeah.
keep up with. But there also, I think my that's what, right? My dad had very good personal finance skills. I used to observe him. He used to do this thing called, which now we learn it as envelope-based budget. So he used to keep different for different expenses different. So for me also, he never suggested me you do like that. Maybe he thought that by seeing I will learn, but I never learned. Only recently we learned, right? And but he used to say that, okay, I need this much money back. I know that you are earning this much money. If I leave everything to you, you will spend it up. So there
Oh,
also he
he's
used
so
to,
strict and then okay, so
because banker,
organized
right?
with money,
So
huh?
he used to ask a chunk back, and of course he never used it. He used to keep it, and at least he used to do some fixed deposit. But at that
So
time,
you would say it's a, yeah, you would say it's a typical like a middle class background or
middle
a little
class
bit
background.
above, but just
Huh.
middle class,
Yes,
right?
middle class background. So that's what, right? He has been managing banks money for the branch which he was. So he used to follow the same thing over here. Maybe we could have
With the, yeah,
learned
me
proper
too.
skills from him. Of course, we never got a chance to learn. So
Hmm.
I think around this time, this first job was fun, right? So we were allocated to a support project. We were given some training, but here I used to feel bad as well, because I think I saw people going to US from Hyderabad, right? So I think I went to airport for some of our friends, maybe Mohan or Manohar. I don't
Friends
remember.
too, right? Yeah.
Friends, they were leaving, so I used to feel
You kind
bad.
of sacrificed for the family too, right? Because of the
Family,
middle class. If
middle
it
class.
was a rich background, then you would just go, maybe,
Go, I
right?
don't care,
Isn't?
right? So then,
Yeah.
and what happened was, I think in 2002 itself, one of my roommate, he came to Singapore, because we were in a Europe-based project. There are people, we were never given a chance to rotate. So, but people in
Okay.
Singapore were given a chance to rotation. So he moved to Singapore. So that's where, I thought, okay,
Okay.
there is an opportunity. I was keep trying, and I was not getting an opportunity to move to that team. So then I started looking out. That is how I used to meet our friends in Chennai as well. I think Murli, Ranjit, Kiran, they were there in TCS Chennai. So I used to go and meet them,
Hmm.
but nothing really worked out. So luckily in 2004, I got an opportunity to move to Singapore. So
Hmm.
in Singapore again, a
So
different
3 years you worked in Hyderabad, like
3 years
the
I was there
software
in
you learned,
Hyderabad.
right? You learned after like engineering, you picked up all the software skills and learned on the job.
Yep. So
these are like kind of database kind of a role
yeah,
you
I think
started
mine,
with the Citibank?
yeah, in Citibank, it is a little bit unfortunate for me because I was in some kind of a legacy application. I didn't get to work on a new technology. So I was in a treasury system with a little bit complex products, whereas some of my friends, they got to work in new technology. So they were so for me, it was more on the database side and on the production support side. So in production support is one of the place where what you will really learn is problem solving skills, but you will not learn anything related to software development. So that is how, since I had this, so I got an opportunity to come to Singapore as well. In Singapore, again,
yeah, it worked out.
Because
the reason why I asked is the database and the production issues. It's a problem solving role, right? You're always on toes. You have to solve the problem. If not, it's a very stressful role, right? Because I do know that roles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a very stressful role. We used to get mobiles, which you will, get calls at any time. It was also fun because that mobile had
you have to be on call,
and that mobile used to have all these ISD calling facilities, so you could call to anyone at any time.
Your friends and everybody. Okay.
So we used to call that and have fun, but of course you have to limit it because again it will be tracked, right? So
tracked, right? Yeah, you can't overuse.
And there, I think around the same time, even mobiles were coming into India, right? So I got myself a mobile, and I remember I used to pay 6 rupees for outgoing per minute and 3 rupees for incoming. And I used to don't care, right? I used to recharge like every 2-3 days, and that was also enjoying the new tech because this is something which built into me that I enjoy new technologies, something new. I always want to try it out. So that is how I got.
For everybody else, that time you were like a very happening guy, right? You were able to buy mobiles and lot of money. Yeah. So you are like, you can call on your own and talk. Yeah, that's nice.
So I think in 2004, when I moved to Singapore, I got a different set of friends, roommates. So there I got introduced to one of my good friend Sunil. So he started talking. That is when I started developing. Okay, I have to do something else. So he used to invest in stock market. So because I was working in complex derivative products, so I also got interested in this derivative products. And one thing which I started doing was investing money in derivative products. And derivative products are very risky. I never knew at that time because Warren Buffett calls his derivative products are weapons of mass wealth destruction. So I used to trade some good contracts on Nifty and burnt my hands.
That young age, 22, 23, you were also doing stocks and all the stuff.
Because
you learned all the
I learned because I used to go to libraries and read books and understand the concepts, and that I was interesting. And what I noticed was when I used to talk derivative, because I think sometimes derivatives trading is also like gambling, right? So when people do gambling, there is a lot of dopamine gets released, so you get a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
So I started feeling that, and finally, I think at least in Indian terms, I lost maybe around 3 to 4 lakh rupees at that time.
Oh,
so
that
then
age,
at that age,
too much money.
Too much money. I stopped it somehow, and I had to stop because my dad started talking about, hey, there is this apartment coming up. I want you to buy this apartment. So now it's again time for me to start saving up and to give that commitment. So I think in 2005, 2006, we bought that apartment. So I had that monthly commitment as well. In 2006 is a very important year for me because two things happened. So one, I was introduced to this world of Amway and Brit Worldwide, which is a networking concept. So that was something which really changed my life. So where I could get this business education, how to build your self-image, how to network with people, and how to talk to strangers, how to improve your health, how to take care of your health, how to dress up. All these things I learned from there slowly. What is exactly self-image? I learned from that opportunity. So I really, really value that experience. And till date, I think we have set of clients and building the team, and it's one stream of income. But what I learned in that opportunity has tremendously impacted my other phases of life. And 2006, another thing happened was my parents, okay, now you're 28 now. We need to start looking for you. So they just got for girls, right? So they just got introduced. It so happened there is only one broker which they contacted, and that guy had only one contact, which was my wife Suhasini's family. And both families met, they liked each other. Then I also came down. I had a one-on-one with her. It was nothing exciting, but I found, okay, she seems to be a good girl. Okay, let's say yes. But internally, then I had a doubt, right? Okay, am I taking the right decision or not? So, but again, that's what again I started writing down, okay, how she will be. And exactly she turned out to be like that. And she's a completely different personality than me. So that's what, right? I even say God somehow ensures that two completely opposite personalities only will get along, or they are now come into a relationship. I think 2007 we married, and things started happening. So I think we never got a chance for her to work because things started happening immediately. Like within 3 months, we came to know she was pregnant, and she and we found out that she has to go for a surgery. And why I'm saying here, explaining this is, here is one important blunder which I did was I never added her name in the health insurance. So this
in Singapore.
So, and once she went into the surgery and the bill came in, my company says that, hey Arun, you never added her name.
Added the wife.
Added your wife's name, we cannot cover it. And that was like really a big learning lesson.
Yeah, it will be really big, right? Without insurance, it's like we can't even pay because it will be huge amount.
Because that's one advice I have for everyone is, first thing you need to ensure is all your immediate family members are covered in insurance. Because even I read in a book called People Get into Financial Challenges Only Because they neglect
health problems or health insurances.
Health insurance. So then in 2008, our daughter was born. And
so wait, when did you go to Singapore? In 2004, is it?
2004,
like you got an opportunity.
So
through Citibank itself.
Through Citibank, I was through a company called. Then the company names changed; it became Polaris. So, and then by the time I got married, what I did was the salary of Polaris was not cutting it. So what I did was I converted myself into a body shopping with another company, into a consultant. And by the time I had also taken a Singapore PR myself. So if you take a Singapore PR, what happens is a portion of your salaries also get cut into the government, or it's like a provident fund. So that is what, so then...
So Singapore, how long you have to stay to get a PR? It's just a straightforward that they give you
Nowadays,
PR.
it is not straightforward. At the time, when it was a few years back, it was like you are eligible to apply PR as soon as you are 1 year in Singapore.
So just 1 year after you can apply for PR.
A permanent. So there are some additional benefits for being a PR in Singapore. So like you can buy a house, or you can start a business here, and your kids, if they are PRs as well, they will get subsidized education.
Sure.
So,
but then they will grant you PR after 1 year if you apply for it without any.
No, they have certain considerations. They don't. Previously, they used to give PRs easily, but now it has become quite challenging because there are a lot of people who are applying PRs now. Because if you have a PR,
now.
There is no visa problem to you, right? If you don't have a job, also you can stay in Singapore, and you can look for a job. So that kind of a benefits you have as a PR.
So for wife, if you get married, they can come to you on visa, is it? First, if you are on a visa to Singapore?
There's something called a dependent pass. So you can apply for a dependent pass and she can come. It is easy here. So it's not as challenging as other countries.
It's not. Okay. But then they can also work under dependent visa or no? If they want to work like
I think certain times they allow and they need to get some permissions and all that, but that is also allowed. But they will not be able to get some high end. So if you need some kind of senior roles or something, you need to get your own work visa. So dependent roles are for a different. So for mid-range roles, they are allowed. But
at least they can work.
They can work.
Okay, yes. There is no restriction that you can't work or like you have to be dependent.
There is no dependent.
Like okay. Yep. Okay.
So
now you guys immediately after marriage, she moved with you to Singapore, is it?
Yes, she moved with us. So initially, I think that time it was quite stressful as well because in Citibank, right, they have this term called "City never sleeps," and it doesn't. It is followed by "City never lets his employees sleep." So that is the missing caption there.
Yeah, okay.
So that is a
so you're always on call 24/7.
On call and but anyway, in spite of all that, she got pregnant.
So you only know her like just once you guys met, like you talk to each other.
We spoke,
like
I think,
after you were.
Yeah, I think there was a gap of around 3 to 4 months. I think we got engaged in January. We got engaged in January and we got married in May 2007.
So you guys have at least 4 months to talk to each other.
4 months to talk.
Long distance.
Yeah. So that was one of the fun periods, right? And you blow up a lot of money on calling cards.
Okay. Yeah. So you went to see her for an engagement or like?
I went to see her for engagement. I think that's when even our friends Powell and Ranjit came, and we went to.
Oh, so they came for your engagement.
Engagement. I think around the same time, even our friends PKC Reddy and Vijulata were getting married as well. So.
So they got married at the same time.
Around the same time. I think it's in Jan itself.
Jan, okay. So, but she's also from Vizag.
She's also from Vizag. That's what, right? She is from Vizag, Madhodara Uda colony, which is considered like a class area. And my mom currently stays in Madilpalam, which is like a mass area. So that's why I joke around, right? I come from a mass background and you are from a class background.
Class background. But okay, so that's how. So you just guys met each other and then talked and then you guys have 4 months. That's how typically they are those days traditional arranged marriages, right? Yeah, it's just pure luck too, right? We all did, I guess, but it works.
It's a risk. We have to make it work.
People here joke around what other big risk you can take other than the marriage.
Yes, exactly, right. You've already taken the biggest risk. You have taken the biggest risk.
Yeah. But at least it's not like completely blind because our parents know what we do need and kind of it's like a speed dating maybe. They always make sure they filter everything and then you get to only
I think
meet.
Their families is our family really liked their family and that's what, right? I think I also saw or heard somewhere that if you really want to marry a good girl, go and see your mother-in-law and how she and mostly your wife will turn out to be like that. And really, I think their family was quite good, and we really, I think till date we have some great relationship between both families.
That's good. Yeah. So now she's here with you immediately after marriage, and then in 3 months itself she got pregnant, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So I think because of this whole Citibank stress, I think we never went to what I call the proper honeymoon. So we went to close
honeymoon
to
or anything.
Anything close by. I think there is a Bintan. It's an island, very short trip. So we went for just a weekend or 3 days. So that's what I keep telling her, that I still owe her a proper honeymoon. So
maybe once the teenager leaves the home, that's the second phase.
That's the second. We need to go for a proper honeymoon. So that
a honeymoon, yeah, true. So okay, so now after like the surgery and all, they were able to cover it or no?
No, they never covered it. So I had to take it from my own pocket, right? And our daughter was born in 2008. So then, then they came back. I think 2008 onwards. So our we had to take.
So she left to India, and then the daughter was born in India.
Our daughter was born in India, and that is when after coming back from India, I think somehow during those times, the standards of healthcare were all not really that good. So after coming back from India, she said that our second child, I'm not going to India. So if you want your second child, then it has to be in Singapore. Because that's what I like for my wife, right? She really knows what she wants, and she's really a deep thinker. And that's what even yesterday I was joking with you, right? She's like the CEO of this house. She does all the thinking part, and I am the execution guy. So
execution. So she knows like what she needs, and she has a very good clarity.
And because again she has to take care of a young kid, right? So she never got a chance to work as well. So. And in 2009,
it's very difficult, right, with the young kid in a different country.
Because in a different country here, of course, daycares are expensive everywhere, right? Here,
super expensive.
Super expensive. Yes. Here also, I think it will cost you at least half of, or 1/3 of your salary as daycare.
You have to put in.
And that's what when
if you have 2 kids, the complete paycheck will go one person's, right? It's no use to work actually.
Exactly. That.
And also those days we don't even have flexibility, right? You are saying that you are completely super busy, so it's not possible for you to give up some of your time for the parenting responsibilities, right? Exactly. If she goes, then it's not possible.
Yeah, in Citibank there is a talk, right? The actual work begins only after 6 p.m. Until 6 p.m. is not work at all.
So you are like in the Citibank now, growing up as a.
So it was more like a body shopping thing, right? I was looking for getting converted into a perm staff, but that was not happening. So I was talking to the current manager, and it was not working out. And in 2009, I think one of my biggest tragedies of my life happened. My father passed away just like that. He was with his doctor for his health checkup. In front of the doctor, he had cardiac arrest. He passed away. That's it. No goodbye, nothing.
Oh, that's so surprising. I'm so sorry.
That's so, and that was
the biggest shock, right?
Biggest shock,
you weren't even prepared. And you were very young too. You were just reaching your 30s, right? Not 30s, even 30, maybe 29, 28. Yeah.
So it was
a very young age.
Yeah, that's why I want sharing this is people will disappear in our life just like that, right? And
just like that.
We have to be very grateful with, if our parents are still alive.
Every minute.
Because I think recently I was reading, right? You cannot, the way you have to measure your time with parents is how many times you are meeting. Like my mom is 70 years now, even if she lives until 85, right? And even if I go once a year to Vizag, I'm able to go and see my mom only 15 times in her lifetime. it was a very powerful concept for me as well. Recently, I think I was reading somewhere. So I think
I saw that too, like how the exponentially drops, and then you can actually take into like number of times now, right? Which, it's very sad actually, since we at that age we don't know, right? We just came so far away, and then
so then I think in 2000
that's like
so I think
you were
that
here in
it took me
Singapore,
some
you just came to know.
I came to know, then
just with a
immediately
phone call they told you.
we had to rush, and I had to spend some time, maybe 1 month there. Even my mom was in a shock, right? So she was also not able to handle this, and so we spent some time. Then we brought her here in 2010, and again what was happening was, due to this, my personal finances were still not in order, and I was really looking out because I was not getting into a perm role in Citibank. I was looking out. Then luckily I got a 1-year contractual role with some very good salary in ING. So once you get very good salary, that is when you, at least we started going to, I think we went to a Thailand trip, and then that year we went multiple times to India as well. My brother was getting married, my brother-in-law was getting married, and then we started look for a house, and we wanted to buy a house. So that is when again I think that I consider one of my biggest blunder in my life is I bought a house with the biggest leverage I could get. I think I was buying a house way above I could handle. I never even thought that, boss, you are just on a 1-year contract. How can yours? Because whatever loan bank was offering, on top of that, I had to spend at least around 200K Sing dollars, 200,000 Sing dollars to get to this house, due to all other taxes and additional. At that time, the housing market was also peak, so people were quoting whatever this prices. And the way why I am saying this
was in 2010, is it?
2011 ending. And around the same time, there was some miscalculation because I applied for citizenship as well. If you apply for citizen, you will get around somewhere around 40K to buy a house. But the mistake which I did was my citizenship was approved after I signed the contract for this house. So government said that since you signed as a PR, I can't give you money. So I didn't even get that money. And
so you got the PR after 1 year, and then after how long you have to wait to apply for citizenship? What's the
usually process? Waiting time is 2 years.
Okay.
Usually after 2 years you can apply for citizenship as well. At that time you were easily getting citizenship as well. So I got converted.
So you got the citizenship.
I got citizenship as well. I couldn't, but again, get money for this house.
But again, you didn't get at the right time. So
I didn't get at the right time.
Deed.
But why I'm saying it's a blunder? Because company decided that I'm not going to renew your contract, and I lost my job. So,
oh my goodness! So you just signed a lease for your home. I
have
the down payment.
On down payments. On top of that, I had to arrange for around $200,000 cash, and now I'm out of job. Right. So then this was a really challenging period for me. Then of course I had do something, right? I was applying for jobs, I was not getting. But this is something magical I did at that time was I wrote that, okay, I'm joining a new job at this time and with a salary of this, and I started visualizing that. And then luckily, of course, I had to take a pay cut, but I got a job within like 2.5 months with a payment company called Yelamanchili, and it was more like a account delivery management role. And so it was mainly, that is when I was introduced to this concept of these cards, payments, wallets. It's a different and that was even since I was taking a pay cut, now you have this huge debt. So then how do you solve this, right? So desperate times, desperate measures. So I got off all this status and all that. I started renting out my 2 bedrooms. I rent out my 2 bedrooms. I asked Suhasini to get a job, if she was trying to get a job, but until she got a job, we could rent out these 2 bedrooms, at least start clearing out this, because I think the weight of debt is too high, right?
It's too high, right?
Too high.
And you have to pay mortgage now, and you already have like a hole with this 200K that you need to down pay on top. Which was a tough period, I guess.
It was a tough
very
period.
Young baby too, right?
And I think now I could look back and say maybe that was the lowest point of my life, right? So now whenever I am worried about the job challenge or any challenge, hey boss, at that time 200K debt and 2 months you were able to survive. Now this is nothing compared to that. So that set
it will pass too.
It will pass too, right? That is like the value of your life, which you can look back and pat on your back that you're.
So that was really helpful now to go through that rough phase, right? To give that confidence of like, hey, we can do anything because we saw the low and then we were able to survive.
Yeah. So then I think.
So, but then the renting is good, is it? Renting is easy, like people will come and take rent.
People, I think there were some websites, and now it's a big thing in Singapore. But for me at that time, I had to do because desperate times, desperate measures. But for me, it's a good income opportunity for you. I think in Singapore you can rent a room for at the moment you can rent for 1,200, 1,300 Sing dollars. That's like 80,000 INR or 80,000 to 1 lakh INR. You can rent it out. But again, for me, if you want to. But again, now for me, the goal is that if you manage your personal finance as well, because home is where your family is, right?
You want that
privacy is
but
there.
Here in US that's not an option actually, because there is a lot of space, right? No, like few areas maybe, but it's not easy to just rent out and then get people, and it's a huge geography is too big, right, for US. And then but Singapore is, I think, because of the population density
here, it's a very common thing. But again, and of course Singapore, one thing I really like Singapore is the safety, right? Like I think it is safety. I have been all over in Southeast Asia, but the safest place is Singapore.
Safest place.
And next I think is
we learn Japan. We read a lot about Singapore. It's like the system and how they were able to control corruption and also pollution and all the great stuff, right? Like,
because here
take that as an example and then use that as a model to implement in your Western societies. Yeah,
here that's one of the neatest places. You won't see any like any garbage lying around. But people in Singapore, you'll be surprised. Government just recently started billing people for plastic bags. Singapore is one of the highest usage of plastic, because government has this great waste maintenance policy and technologies. You will see it's one of the cleanest here.
Cleanest, yeah. I had an opportunity early on, like when I started my career, maybe in 2011. To go, because we had a plant there with Exxon in Singapore.
Exxon
we were also building a couple of them.
Because I have few friends in Exxon.
Yeah, but I only interacted through online. I couldn't come because I had very young kids that time. Sacrifices, right? You need to pick. But one day soon, sometime Singapore is spending too. Oh, nice. So now you came out of that, but your wife, tell me the situation at home and then how your wife was supporting you in that low moment.
Yeah, I think
because that's very important, right?
It was because she was one of the biggest supporters, and always a smile on her face, because it is quite because man is a provider of the house, right? And at that point she was not working, so how
Working,
should
yeah.
we?
And then
Yeah, so at least uh, she was supporting me in whatever the financial restrictions which we were going through, right? Because if someone for a stranger is in your house, it is more embarrassing for a woman, right?
to
Because
the
we
person
rented out
who's
it to
staying it.
guys, but those guys were good, but it is more embarrassing for a woman
For
rather than
her
a
to stay
man,
in the home, right?
right? But again, since we had to go through this phase, and because of this, that is what, right, why I'm saying this, making right financial decisions will also impact your future. Why? Because we couldn't plan for our second kid, right? Because you are like so much in debt, and now
Debt
it's not the time,
time.
and so we
So
had
you
to delay.
postponed it because you have to wait.
We had to come out, and those 3 years we never even went to India. Usually in Singapore to India is like 4 hours, right? And we never went to India.
Very easy.
Very
with
easy.
them.
But during that 3 years, focus was clear out debt. You have to
You
come
have
out.
to compromise, and you
come
have to
out,
wait and then clear off the debt.
clear out the debt. So that was the main goal. And it's 3 years, even when I was working with this payments processing company as well, as it was an Indian company, a branch in Singapore, so the thought process was a little bit different, right? So because their revenue is in INR and they're paying in Sing dollars, so they will think that I'm paying you a lot, even though they're paying not.
So they will make you work like hell, right?
Work like hell,
with
right?
the Indian mentality.
Indian mentality and all that. But during that time, it was a good learning period. I could learn how card transactions work, the cards which we use on a daily basis. How it was a good learning opportunity, and even I could travel to Shanghai, I could travel to Hong Kong, travel to Manila, and do some implementations and get that experience as well. In 2015, I think, when we hired a maid as well. My wife, luckily, she got a job and she was also working. And then, luckily, in 2015, I got a role to work in a fintech, because we, as a payment processing, we were also supporting this fintech. So they offered me good stock options, and they offered me a good salary, and so my main work was again to get proper work done with this payment processing company. So that's when I started my project management skills. So I think in fintech we had worked with multiple startups. So what is a fintech culture? I learned here. So what is a wallet? How does Apple Pay work? How does Samsung Pay work? How does Google Pay work? So all these multiple technologies I was able to learn. And
you were also learning continuously different things, I guess, and very in a fast pace to adapt and then survive, right? Because these are all completely away from what we just start with too, right? And then these are like changing so rapidly too, these technology terms and then these pay terms, and they change the most rapidly, right? In one of the changes you would see is in this sector, I guess, right? Finance and the pay, because everything is changing so much. Because we don't know what is the pay system yesterday and today is a different thing, right? Yeah.
Because people are looking
which
for
I don't even know some of the things. You might know better now because you're doing it right on the job. Yeah.
So only
because
here
all the growth is.
So here some things which I learned was after coming to this background is every transactions which we do, right? A card transaction which we do, we have something called as a dispute right. I don't know you know or not. If you pay using your card, if a merchant doesn't deliver, or if a merchant delivers a faulty good, you can actually raise a dispute and get your money back. I never knew about this.
I have a city card,
So I learned.
I only came to know recently, right? They told, right? We had few disputes for few charges which we don't know of them, but we don't know these things. And there are like so many advanced technologies, I guess, which I don't even catch up to yet.
Yeah, I think one thing people should maybe watching this video is, if you have a credit card or debit card with Visa or Master or Rupee in it, you have a right to dispute any transaction which is done until 90 to 120 days. So
90 to 120 days
90 to 120 days వరకు మనకి టైం ఉంది ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ ని డిస్ప్యూట్
You do
చేయడానికి.
have it. Okay, I don't know that. Okay.
So that's why
nice.
But banks won't tell you all this, right? Because
No,
every time you raise a
won't.
dispute, they are losing money.
They're
right?
losing money.
And
also, especially for us, maybe we do know, but then in India is catching up so fast, right? Because of the developing country. There's a lot of advancement is coming up, I guess. People like using phones, and they have these phone pays, this and that apps.
In India, UPI has really, I think the mother of payments is China, where it started. Now in the world, next is India. So China is the mother of QR code payments, and next catching up closest is India. So
this is India, right? You guys have a lot of business from India, right? Kind of like to change the systems or the payment terms and all that stuff. Okay. So nice. You are into different like sector now, from City Corp to the cards, and this is more like a front end, I guess, right? Like dealing with the customers and like.
So for me, it was because in fintech you have multiple roles, right? This was more like a startup kind of.
What is fintech? Is a company name or is just something
fintech
like
is a term called financial technology, right? So
financial technology. Okay,
so
nice.
They call it as a fintech because anything they are implementing through in finance using technology is called fintech.
Fintech. Okay. So that's so you are into fintech, like the core, like the fast pace of the technology.
And so since I had stock options,
so you are making the change happen, right? Maybe that gives you motivation, right? Whatever you do, you are seeing in the people's hands instantly, right? The application.
So so anything these guys work with a lot of different kinds of companies, right? So what these guys do is anybody who wants to enable payments or wallets, and if you have a community of users, if you want to enable payments, these guys will offer the SaaS software to them, and those guys can enable payments for that community and monetize that.
Okay.
So I was doing multiple implementations, handling it, but again, while you are there in a fintech, of course you are learning something also on the money front and stock options. So almost like I waited for 6 years. I was thinking, because I see my peers in working in banks and others, they are earning a lot of money, but of course I am also valued more, but not in terms of salary as such, but in terms of stock options. So then I started noticing, then I think into 2021, once this COVID thing happened, this company got impacted a little bit. So then 2021 onwards, I was seeing maybe it's time for me to change. Then I started looking out as well to change into a new role. But again, there were some legal complications. We are not allowed to go to competition and all that, so I had to be very careful. And so then this year I transitioned into a Japanese bank. Now I'm handling the digital transformation for them. They are replacing their 20-year-old payment system into the new Oracle payments product. New technology. So that's why once I see and come into the bank, I see that in bank the technologies are like so old-fashioned compared to the what technology is there in the fintech. So right now that is my work. So at the moment I am handling the project management for a large transformation project for a Japanese
Project.
bank called SMBC. So in that, of course, through again a contract role. But that is my journey right now.
But still, it's a bigger responsibility, right?
It's a
I
bigger.
think from where you started to now, I think you are a VP or something, which is a very responsible role in terms of,
Yeah, so in fintech,
in
yes, I
terms of
was a
like many
vice
different levels.
president and there was a title and all that. But again, once I started pursuing this opportunity at the moment, still I don't have the title yet. But the role which I'm doing is I see my peers who are perm staff, they are like the VP level as well.
It doesn't matter, right? Sometimes it's not the title, but it's responsibility and the capability that you are already doing that.
Exactly.
So sometimes the titles, it's just some companies has very low titles and some companies has, but the role that you are doing is what is important, right?
Yeah.
The responsibility that you can handle.
Exactly.
Not everybody were given those things, right? If you are capable, only you are able to give in. And once you take it, you need to do whatever it takes to do that role, right? You learn, you do whatever it takes, and then you have to deliver it, execute it.
Exactly.
I think in all of your phases, even though you are thrown into things, but you are always finding up options to execute it and then deliver it somehow. So maybe that leads you to this kind of accepting too, right? It's not like not everybody can go and say, okay, I'll take this challenge, right? You need to have that inside you. That
so luckily I have that growth mindset, so I really push myself always to do something new and something different.
You are always proactively looking for networking or what is the next role or how I can get into that.
Exactly.
And things like that.